Welcome back to Full Sport Press. I'm Peyton,
I am Zach.
and let's hop right in with our what we saw. Both actually Colts themed. So my
Just for you,
Colts
Cam.
themed
Just for you.
one, my Colts theme is going to be with the Kylan Grayson, the third-year tight end for the Colts. He caught his first touchdown pass ever on Sunday, and so he posted a photo shoot on Instagram with, I guess it's either his girlfriend or wife, and he's holding the football wrapped in like a blanket, like it's a baby, saying, "After 3 years of trying, it's finally here."
Oh,
Um,
yay.
and it's an amazing. It's like it looks like he's holding a baby is the point of it, and it's a football. So it's just hilarious, honestly.
Alrighty. Well, mine with the Colts as well is all about Anthony Richardson because who else would it be about? This man sadly did go out of the game with a concussion at basically halftime. I think it was like 2 or 3 minutes before. But before he went out, he absolutely made sure that he left his mark. On the first play, or not first play, on the first drive, he scored a rushing touchdown from 18 yards out. And then Texans have 3 plays. CJ Stroud fumbles. Anthony Richardson gets the ball back and immediately from the 15-yard line runs it in for another touchdown. Before he went out for his concussion, he had in our fantasy league 17 points already, which for a quarterback in the first quarter is ridiculous. Sadly, he could not add on to it because of his concussion, but a good start for Anthony Richardson so far. I dare say, so far, and it's only 2 games in, he has been the best looking rookie quarterback.
Yeah, I agree, but I do think he's probably in the best situation as far as
I,
he's got a an offensive mind that has already worked with
yeah,
a quarterback like him with
yeah,
Jalen Hurts.
yeah.
He's got Michael Pittman, a veteran wide receiver.
I don't think he's
And
that good though. Michael
I,
Pittman's trash.
I don't think
All he
he's
does is
trash.
fumble the ball. He just fumbles the ball.
Well, I don't know about that, but
That's what he does.
well, moving on to our games of the weeks, we got Vikings Eagles was mine on Thursday night, and the Eagles won 34-28. It looked like the Eagles were going to pull away with it after the third quarter. They were up 27-14, but the Vikings made a comeback, tried to get back into the game. But the Eagles literally ran over them the entire game. DeAndre Swift had 175 yards rushing. On the opposite side, the Vikings could not run the ball. Alexander Madison just hasn't looked great, honestly. They're missing Dalvin Cook, looking like it might have been a mistake to release him because Alexander Madison, he's a fine backup, but I don't know if he's a
He's
starter.
backup. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if he's a starter guy for any team. Justin Jefferson, of course, had his game, 11 catches, 159 yards. That's just expected. Kirk Cousins played good.
Jordan
He kind
Addison's
of
playing good.
Jordan Addison had a touchdown again. But Kirk Cousins, 4 touchdowns, 0 picks in prime time. Just could not pull off the win. Mostly the defense's fault, I would say. Just couldn't stop the run. But yeah, overall, pretty good game.
Yep, I watched most of that one. I think by the time it was pretty much over, I turned it off. But alrighty. So my game of the week was the Dream versus the Wings. This is a playoff matchup. So far, I believe the Aces have advanced, and that might be it. But looking at this game, the Wings ended up pulling it out. They are 1-0 in the series. They play again tonight. They won 94-82, beating the Dream. So Ryan Howard had a really good night. She had 36 points, but it was just not enough for Arike, Satu, and Tierra. Arike Agumbawale went 24 points, 9 rebounds, which she does not do ever, and 7 assists. So a pretty good game for her, almost a triple-double, like one stat line away from a double-double, and then on top of that, only 3 away from a triple-double. So great game from her. 32 points from Satu Sabali, and then 17 points, 14 rebounds from Tierra McCowan in the paint. The Wings are looking good. I really hope, honestly, that they get to advance because I want to see them, I think, play the Aces if they advance. So, yeah.
All right, moving on. Just real quickly, PLL Championship is on Sunday this week at 3 o'clock on ABC. Water Dogs versus Archers should be a great game. I'll probably have it on the background of NFL Sunday. But yeah, that'll be on Sunday this week. All right, and then moving on to WNBA.
Yep. So I don't have a whole lot here. We are finally in award rollout season, so they're doing this weird. I'm not going to go through every award because we don't have them all yet, but I'll go through the ones we have. So, peak performers for the WNBA this year: Jewel Lloyd, who is your leading scorer. She's had 24.7 a game, so she wins that award along with Alyssa Thomas, who had the most rebounds per game at 9.9 rebounds. Literally needed one percentage point to get 10. That sucks for her. And then Courtney Vandersloot had 8.1 assists per game. So those are your peak performers for the WNBA 2023 season. Your coach of the year is Stephanie White for the Sun, which she did a marvelous job, honestly. This was her first year there. They ended up going 27-13, which is a pretty big boost of what they were, I guess, predicted to go, because they lost former MVP Jonquel Jones, and then right at the beginning of the season, they lost who was supposed to replace Jonquel Jones and Brianna Jones, who was going to be a really big piece of this team. So having her out really kind of threw a wrench in the plans, but they were still able to get the 3 seed, went 27-13. Great year for Stephanie White and the Sun. And then lastly, the last award we have so far is Sixth Woman of the Year. That goes to Alicia Clark on the Aces. She ended up getting 22.5 points off the bench this season. And in that, she averaged 7 points per game, 3.5 rebounds per game, and 1 assist per game. And on top of all that, she was absolutely just a solid piece and solid cog in the machine for the dominant Aces team, and had some key defensive roles. But looking at the schedule coming up, what is today? Yesterday was the 18th, so that's when we got Sixth Woman of the Year. Next up, we have Most Improved, MVP, Rookie team, defensive teams, and then first and second teams. And that is all from the WNBA. I'll come at you next week with some more awards.
All right, that means we are moving on to college football. So
I
let's
think this
kind of,
might be the earliest we've gotten into football.
I mean, we're just getting to that point in the year where
Yeah.
football's taken
Yep.
over at all of my
Yep.
sports viewing. So yeah, that's where we're at. I do watch Premier League, but nothing of note to talk about at the moment with Premier League. Champions League did just start. I have it on in the background, but yeah, Champions League did just start. So, college football. Week 3 games that were of note. Missouri hits the 61-yarder to beat Kansas State. That was pretty close.
I thought that Kansas State was going to hold on for that one, but Mizzou came back from behind and won it.
Yeah, that was a good win for them. I think for the SEC in general, because they've been kind of struggling in the out of conference.
Man. Yeah,
so
the SEC has not looked great.
And then, what was your thoughts on Georgia, South Carolina?
Now I'm removed from the situation more. I feel better. I feel happier about my team. In the moment, was not happy at all. But they played good. First half was amazing. The defense, I haven't seen a defensive performance like that from South Carolina in years, I feel like. Just Georgia could not do anything. Couldn't throw it, couldn't run it. We had them figured out. And then offense, it was a little slow. Georgia's defense is obviously really good, but they were still able to score 14 points. And then come out of halftime. I don't want to talk about the rest.
Yeah, it was just like in the second half, Georgia kind of remembered who they were. And that they were the better team. They started throwing downfield more, and it was open. And South Carolina literally could not do anything on offense.
Nope.
And it was just rough. Nothing really going for them in the second half. It was a sad performance. I mean, I liked the first half, obviously, but yeah, nothing going for them in the second half. Georgia just looked like the number 1 team in the nation. Like they finally showed up to the game.
My whole issue is I'm very happy that they played well. I'm very happy that they looked good. It's just very hard to have that hope right there. And it's like I remember what it was like in 2021 when we upset them at home or in
Yeah.
Georgia. It's like, man, that felt so good. And it's just to be that close and then to have it taken away. Yeah, I rather would have us gotten blown out because then at least there's no hope. Then at least it's like, okay, we're just bad and that's fine. Next week's a new week. But now we're just in this limbo where we're almost as good as Georgia, but we're definitely not. So, ugh, that's my
A couple other things to kind of quickly. Florida State survived Boston College. That was another 12 o'clock game that looked like
yeah.
it might be an upset.
Mm-hmm.
Florida State survives. And then moving on
LSU
to
absolutely handled
yeah,
Mississippi State. I thought
yeah.
that was going to be a close game, maybe, and it was not at all.
And then Alabama looked horrible. Horrible.
This is why they don't play out of conference road games.
But it wasn't even. I think the quarterback situation. I get they're going to be starting Milroe again because that was awful. If you've not seen the stats from that game of the quarterbacks, they didn't play Milroe at all. I guess they committed to benching him and just going with what they had. They started Tyler
Oh,
Buckner,
man.
the
Yeah. I'm
transfer
looking at these.
from Notre
I'm
Dame.
looking at
He
these
went
now.
5 of 14 for 34 yards.
Wow.
That's horrible. And then the other quarterback they put in at Ty Simpson, he went 5 of 9 for 73, a little bit better, but not great. So they literally just ended up running the ball the entire game. And I mean, it was South Florida, so it was going to take a lot. They were just going to have to be horrible to lose that game. But yeah,
Up
not a good
until
performance.
at halftime, it was 3-3.
Yeah.
And then, Alabama scored 2 touchdowns in each quarter after that. But yeah.
So that's not looking good for Alabama, especially with the opponent coming this week. Duke
Who they play
blows
this
out
week?
Northwestern.
I guess
I
we'll
think
talk about it, won't we?
we're gonna
Yeah.
talk about it
Okay.
in a minute. Duke blows out Northwestern. They continue their dominance so far this season. Other than that, let's see. Washington blew out Michigan State after the controversy going on there. Ooh,
North Carolina,
Florida.
Minnesota
Oh,
wasn't that
good.
close. Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, that was one that could be a good game, but it ended up not. Yeah, what you're about to say is a big one.
Florida upsets Tennessee, and Tennessee
Yep.
just doesn't look like the same team as last year. And I
Well,
don't
I
know if
mean,
it's
you're
Hendon
missing.
Hooker not being there, but like
It
they
has
are
to be.
bad.
I think that I feel like whenever those coaches, because from what everything I heard last season is they had Hooker and they had the receivers that they knew they had, so the coach like put together a plan for them. So I don't think it's necessarily going to translate too well. It
But I
hasn't
just
so far.
know
Yeah.
this was a Florida team that was looked at as possibly finishing last in the conference,
Yeah.
which I guess is not the case anymore. They've not looked horrible. Put up against fight against Utah, but man, that was a little bit of surprise. I guess it was at Florida, but still, that wasn't really
Yeah.
close. 29-16. It wasn't like it came down to the wire. Florida just beat them straight up. And then we head into the. Oh wait, you had BYU Arkansas. Did you watch BYU Arkansas?
I had it on and off. I was flipping. That was a good one. It was like always close, but like no team ever really cemented a lead until the very end. BYU they scored 10 in the third quarter and then another touchdown in the fourth to kind of take over and win that game there, and they won by a touchdown. So
All right, and then we had it has to be the game of the weekend. Once
it has
again,
to be the game of the year so far.
Colorado was involved, and it was the
Man,
rivalry of Colorado State, Colorado. And let me just say, all the celebrities were out there. We're starting to see like a different side of college football. I feel like in Colorado, Little Wayne performed, and in Colorado, Dwayne the Rock Johnson did the picks at game day.
yep.
Literally, there was so many different people there that usually, especially at like a Colorado game, you would not expect.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe
No,
USC or UCLA, something like that, but not Colorado. And
people want to see
it was
Dion.
an insane game. Colorado State started off like they looked like they were going to win the game.
They really
Travis
did.
Hunter gets knocked out of the game due to a cheap shot. Some would say Travis Hunter says he thinks it was okay, but it was definitely a late
It
hit
was
and
not. It was
a
not.
little bit a cheap shot. And then that kind of was happening throughout the game. I watched the first half into the second half a little bit, and it seemed like every time some little like skirmish happened, it was almost like a bench clearing brawl. Like they were at each other all game
I,
long.
I that shot on Travis Hunter. I'm not going to talk about that one specific player, but I don't understand how that didn't happen there, because that was
Yeah,
right beside the Colorado bench. Whether you think that it was a cheap shot or not, it was a cheap shot. He could not see the dude coming from around the defender, and then absolutely just gets throttled and knocked to the ground. He went to the hospital. He's out for at least 2 or 3 games.
yep.
I I don't understand how that didn't cause a brawl right there, because it should have,
And
in
I
my
think there
mind.
were multiple moments where that could have happened. There was a moment
Yeah.
I didn't see the whole clip of it, but like Shader Sanders kind of like looked like he was trying to gouge one of the
Yeah.
Colorado State players' eyes. Like there was a
Jeez.
lot going on, and Colorado State was up pretty good going into the fourth, and then somehow Colorado makes a comeback and they take it to overtime and win it in overtime. They storm the field. Let's see
Yep.
what Colorado State was up at one point 28-17 in the fourth quarter, and that was
Yep.
with 11 minutes left. And
Yep.
Colorado comes back, ties it up, forces overtime, and ends up winning the game. This was definitely their like scare because Colorado State's not a good team, and it
Mm-mm.
is a rivalry game, so sometimes that can affect things. But yeah, that with the games coming up, they're gonna have to play better for sure.
Yep. Looking at the games coming up. How'd you like that segue?
Nice.
Thank you. So for week 4, anything else you want to say for week 3
No,
before I
I'm
move
good
on?
there.
Okay. Looking at week 4. Oh man. Heading on down to Clemson, South Carolina. The Knolls of Tallahassee. Getting ready to do some chopping. Man, I'm excited for this one. I need Jordan Travis to have 6 touchdowns on Dabo Sweeney's head. And I really, 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 really want to see Dabo Sweeney like run full speed down the hill and trip right at the end, like he usually does. If I can see those 2 things, then I'll be happy. Any thoughts on this game besides go Knowles?
I mean, I'm surprised Florida State's only favored by 2.5.
Yeah,
We'll just have
Clemson's
to.
not good.
I don't want to get too ahead of myself because I feel like once I think Clemson's going to lose a game, they end up winning it somehow because that's just how it works. So I'm not going to get too ahead of myself. It could be a close game for sure. I would like to shout out another 12 p.m. game that you didn't have on the list. Oklahoma
Okay.
Cincinnati. I feel like that could end up being a sneaky good game. Oklahoma so
Yeah.
far has looked like they've figured it out with under Venables. They've destroyed everyone except SMU. And Cincinnati is always, of course, a solid team, but they did lose to Miami, Ohio last week in overtime. So maybe because they did lose Fickle. I don't even know who their coach is
Yeah.
now. I forgot Fickle
I
went
don't either.
to
Where Fickle?
Wisconsin.
Where? Yeah, I knew it was somewhere
So
Big Ten.
Cincinnati, new coach, Oklahoma. It's at Cincinnati, so this should be a solid non-conference game. I feel like. Wait, no, this is a conference game. Oh my
Is it?
gosh!
Who is it? Cincinnati and no, it's not. Or is it this year?
Yeah, Cincinnati's in the Big 12.
Okay, so it
That's
is this
so
year,
weird.
but it won't. But it won't be next year though.
It won't. Yeah, it won't be next year. This is the only time this will
Jeez.
happen. There will be a
This
conference
is your
game.
one and only chance to see Big 12 Oklahoma versus Big 12 Cincinnati. You better watch it.
Yeah, I was just thinking. I was like, this seems like a weird out of conference game, and then I was like, wait, it's not an out of
This
conference
is
game.
man.
So
Yeah.
yeah, all right. So
All
the
right.
only
Yeah.
matchup ever of Oklahoma Cincinnati. There you go. In conference.
Yes, in conference. Okay, moving on to another 12 o'clock game. We have Auburn with brand new coach Hugh Freeze. Don't want to talk about him. Versus Texas A&M, who has Jimbo Fisher supposedly on a warm seat, possibly getting warmer. He did lose to Miami 2 weekends ago. We'll see what happens against Auburn. Auburn's 3-0, so it will be interesting. I don't think they've really played anybody, but
Yeah.
3-0 is 3-0. Any thoughts on that one, or just keep moving?
Let's just keep it moving. I don't have too much to say about either of those teams.
Next up, 13. This is a big one. 13, Ole Miss versus 15 Alabama. In
Reverse.
Is it really?
Yeah. 13 Alabama, 15 Ole Miss. According to the ESPN app.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm just dyslexic. Okay. Okay, so 15 Ole Miss versus 13 Alabama in Tuscaloosa. I don't know what's going to happen here because Alabama does not have an answer at quarterback. I don't understand why they didn't continue starting Milroe because I don't think he played that bad. I just think the offense isn't what it used to be.
I
I don't
think it
know.
was the turnovers versus Texas because it really did cost them a lot.
Mm,
He had a
mm,
couple bad interceptions, and that was kind of the reasoning behind it.
mm. Okay.
And I guess they were trying to see if they could find someone who could protect the ball a little bit more because Nick Saban, knowing Nick Saban, he wants a game manager more than anything out of his
Yeah.
quarterback. He's okay if they don't make plays or like they're not
Mm-hmm.
going to make the plays. He'll run it 30 times a game and be okay with that as long as the quarterback can make the easy, solid throws and not make mistakes. And I think Milroe
Yeah.
was trying to do too much. Turnovers is not what Alabama's about. So maybe they're thinking,
Mm-hmm.
hopefully, he can pull it together. And I don't know. This should be a good game. Ole Miss has played really good so far this year. Jackson Dart seems like a
Yep.
brand new quarterback. He's played a lot better than he did last year with Ole Miss.
So far, Jackson Dart in 3 games has had 852 yards, 7 touchdowns, and 1 pick, and only
I
been
mean,
sacked 5
yeah.
times.
If he can protect the ball like that, then I think Ole Miss
Yeah.
has a good chance.
Yeah, I mean, Alabama's not the same Alabama that they have been. I don't think their defense is as good, but also I don't know, it's Alabama at home. How do you
Yeah.
go against that, I guess? Alrighty, moving on into the fun zone now. A 3:30 primetime Pac-12 game. Colorado, number 19 Colorado versus number 10 Oregon. What's your thoughts? It's going to be a big one.
Before I give you my thoughts on that, real quick, did you see the game time for Colorado USC next week?
No.
It is a big noon kickoff.
Good.
10 a.m. local. They will kick off in Colorado.
Good. That's
So
fine.
that is insane that they were
That's
kicking
happened
off that
before.
game at 10 a.m. in Colorado, and it'll be 9 a.m. basically for USC when they're going to play that. So
Yeah.
they're just a crazy kickoff time for them. But anyway, back to Colorado, Oregon. Oregon is currently favored by 21 points. According to the matchup predictor on ESPN, they have a 93.8% chance to win over Colorado.
What?
Yeah.
All right.
I guess they think Colorado hasn't really faced anyone yet. I'm not ready to be that confident on Oregon. I will say with Travis Hunter out, that's obviously a big blow.
Oregon has a 70-point win against Portland State,
Yeah.
an 8-point win against Texas Tech, and then like a 60-point win against Hawaii. So stop, ESPN. Stop it.
So I'm gonna think Oregon's going to win it. I hope Colorado can at least keep it close and make it interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know how much Travis Hunter being out will impact them, but hopefully they can keep it together.
I really hope that Travis Hunter being out, which I think it will, but I hope it doesn't cost him the Heisman.
Yeah.
Assuming he was going to play both ways, the amount he has so far for the entire year, I really hope that doesn't cost him. But yeah, I'm excited for this game. Go ahead.
What really kills them is they play Oregon and USC the next 2 weeks, and he'll be out for both of those games. And that's just rough for them.
Yeah, but no, this I think should be a good game. I don't know how I really feel about Colorado or Oregon, but I think it'll be a good game. And I also have confidence in Deion Sanders that he'll maybe not get a win, but he'll go in and take a competitive team in.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that'll be a huge one at 3:30. That's going to be the one that's on my TV, most likely. Any other 3:30s before we move on to 7s?
No, I think I'm ready to move on.
Okay, looking at 7 o'clock, we've got 14 Oregon State versus 21 Washington State. That one is on Fox. I don't really know anything about those teams except for they play each other.
I know Washington State had a big win last week. I don't know what to expect out of these two. You know who Oregon State's quarterback is?
Yes, I do. Who
DJ.
has looked very different this year? Let's
He's played
let's say
well.
that.
So,
Let's say that.
um, it
I
was two
don't I
weeks
don't
ago.
want to.
Washington State beat Wisconsin.
I don't want to put it out there that Clemson ruins quarterbacks, but we see how DJ's doing. So, okay. Moving on to a huge Big Ten matchup. We've got number 24 Iowa and the road to Brian Ferentz, 325 points. He's at 83 this season so far, so only going up. Versus number 7 Penn State. Iowa has been weirdly okay at offense this season, and I have not seen Penn State play a single down of football. So
I know Penn State has a new quarterback, and he's looked really good. No interceptions on the year. They haven't really had too many tough opponents. They played West Virginia week 1, crushed them. Played Illinois last week, crushed them. So right now, Penn State is looking really good. Iowa, you said, has scored a lot of points, but I'm not convinced on the matchups, or not. I guess a lot of points in Iowa standards.
Well, yeah.
41
Plus,
against Western Michigan.
For Iowa, if you're above 24, that's a good amount of points.
Let me just say the Iowa State win is looking a lot worse. They won 20-13. I don't know if you saw what Iowa State did last weekend. They lost 10-7 to Ohio.
Oh, well.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
They
I think Penn State might blow them out, if I'm being honest.
Wow. Okay.
All right.
And then we got polls. I don't think there's anything too crazy. Alabama's out of the top 10 for the first time ever. It's probably for the first time in our lifetime, to be quite honest. They're number 13. What else? Texas is up to 3. Florida State's number 4. North Carolina and Duke are right behind it, or right beside each other at 17 and 18.
Oh, I do want to say this. If Notre Dame wins their game, we're going to talk about that game later, but if Notre Dame wins their game and Duke wins their game against UConn, which hopefully they will,
you would hope.
Next week, Saturday night, 7:30 p.m., ABC, number 9 Notre Dame versus number 18 Duke at the moment. That would be the current matchup. I'm just going to say College Game Day, you better be heading to Durham for that. I don't know if College Game Day's ever been to Durham, but that's a worthy matchup.
Did you say that was week 5?
Yeah,
they would play week 5. Let's see what other games.
The only other one is like USC Colorado.
Yeah, and they just went to Colorado too.
That's my
thought.
Go somewhere new. Head to Duke.
I agree.
Surely they have never been to Duke. Honestly, I can't think of a time they would have, unless it was a long time ago.
You also have LSU Ole Miss, especially if Ole Miss beats Bama.
I still think you go to Duke Notre Dame. Switch it up. I feel like College Game Day is a better. I know, but College Game Day is just better off when they go somewhere new. I agree. Where was it? Where was it 2 weeks ago? Was it Alabama, Texas? And it was okay. Like, it was a normal crowd. But like when you go to a Colorado, when you go to a Charlotte with North Carolina, South Carolina, I feel like you get a better turnout, and it's just more fun. So I don't know. That's my case for Duke Notre Dame making College Game Day.
Yeah, I think it'd be fun. Right. I'm all for seeing something different.
Exactly. Moving on to the NFL. Talking about week 2. Starting off on the Thursday night game. We talked about it already, but the Vikings starting 0-2 is not a good look. They were a team that many people felt like were easily going to make the playoffs, win the NFC North, and possibly be a contender. Kirk Cousins is probably his last year with them, and it's not looking good for him. Thoughts?
Yeah, they I think they're just missing Dalvin, really. I think that I don't want to say letting him go was a mistake, because at some point you're just going to have to part ways, but they definitely should have brought him back, or at least had a better backup plan.
Yeah, they need some kind of replacement. It's not bad to always want to throw the ball, but you need to have some kind of answer to it if they start queuing on that. You got to be able to run the ball sometimes. Speaking of another 0-2 team that should not be 0-2, the Los Angeles Chargers are 0-2.
It's
Now,
not who I
how in the
thought you were going to
world
say.
is that possible with that roster? I don't know. They've lost to the week 1. They lost to the Dolphins. Understandable. Last week they lost to the Titans. Um,
Mm,
it's not looking
yeah.
good for the Chargers right now.
And they only lost by 3, too.
Yeah, but I mean, at some point you got to start winning those games.
Didn't Eckler get hurt or go out? Or am I making that up?
He didn't play
I
this
just
week.
saw he got. Oh, okay. So, I mean, they were missing Eckler, which sucks. But
Eckler, you can use that in your running back contract negotiations. You're welcome.
oh my God. They were missing Eckler, and Joshua Kelly was the leading rusher. 13 attempts for 39 yards.
Like I said, Austin Eckler,
Yep.
you use this game in your contract negotiations.
Yep. You want another
And
game
then
like that? Oh,
yeah,
yikes.
talk about more disappointments. The Cincinnati Bengals. So first of all, they're 0-2. They lost a big game to the Ravens. They've lost 2 divisional games, so not a good start there.
Nope.
And not only that, the offense has not looked good. To add insult to injury, literal injury,
Literally.
Joe Burrow re-injures his calf strain. They don't know what it's going to look like if he's going to play this week, how it is, but it is looking rough. And I'm assuming they'll get it together because that team is too good not to. But wow, right now it is looking scary, especially if Joe Burrow's out a few games. Then you get into territory. It's like we got to start winning.
Is it
You're a
possibly that?
fantasy owner, so what do you think about Joe Burrow and the Bengals?
Oh, I'm scared. I'm upset. What I think is happening possibly is maybe they're I don't know, when they got Joe Burrow that year, I feel like they did way better than they were supposed to the first year. And then the second year, obviously, they make the playoffs and go all the way to the Super Bowl. And then last year, they took an exit out of the playoffs. Is it possibly that we were really good and all the teams around us were not as good, so now they've kind of caught up and we're dropping back a little bit?
Well, here's my question. First of all, I don't think the Browns are good. They got beat by the Steelers last night. So that loss, it
Steelers
does
are
not look good to
good.
me. Do not say that. We're talking about a team that got manhandled by the 49ers week 1. And I feel like they're good and they just got to get it figured out quick.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's the play calling. I don't know what it is, but right now it is just not going well.
It's
I think I
weird.
saw that Jamar Chase said something about how he wants to take more shots, get the ball down the field. He's tired of running bubble screens, I believe was the quote. So maybe it's something with play calling.
It's weird to me to look at my fantasy team each week and like not even see that Jamar Chase has a lot of targets. Like he's not getting a lot at all because they're either running it or he's throwing it to someone else, throwing these short. It's weird. I don't know. I don't like it. I need them to fix it, but I also need Joe to be healthy.
And then the Niners, once again, look like they may be the best team in the NFL. I don't know how Brock Purdy is doing this, how he's suddenly just a good NFL quarterback when he was the last pick in the draft last year. Wasn't great at Iowa State, but somehow, I don't know what's happened, but he is a solid NFL quarterback and quarterback of probably the best team in the NFL. He does have plenty of weapons. Christian McCaffrey, back to himself.
Christian McCaffrey, who looks like Christian McCaffrey.
He does, but that's he'll draw you in, and then he'll pick up an injury. So hopefully he doesn't. But
didn't Ayuk get hurt? Or he was on the ground a lot.
He was hurt at some point, came back in. Debo had 5 carries for 38 yards and a touchdown and 6 catches. Right now, their offense looks unstoppable, and that defense has a bunch of playmakers on it too. The Rams put up a good fight, just was not enough. 49ers looking really good. And then the Giants-Cardinals, the beginning of this game, I remember thinking, wow, these Giants might be the worst team in the NFL because they lost 40-0 to the Cowboys week 1, and then they were down 20-0 at halftime of this game. So they started off their first 6 quarters of a deficit 60-0. And then Daniel Jones somehow pulled off an MVP performance. I don't know what he did at halftime, but I've never seen Daniel Jones play like that. It was like, Zach, you're going to understand this reference, but no one else was. Mm-hmm. It was like AMG Daniel Jones. when I won the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
That's what it
Oh my
looked like out
gosh.
there.
Yeah.
And they came back, beat the Cardinals 31-28. Cardinals, I will say this about the Cardinals. They put up 2 good fights against the Commanders and Giants, but have sadly lost both of them. So they're 0-2, but the Giants saved
That
possibly their season with that win.
Let's be honest with the Cardinals. That's exactly where you want to be if you're a Cardinals fan. You want to be close but losing every game because Caleb Williams ain't gonna be a Cardinal if you don't. Secondly, yeah, what were they saying on like Sunday countdown? I think that basically like Daniel Jones, you need to go out there and show why you got paid all this money. And for half the game, he definitely did not, but the second half he definitely did. So they just got to keep that up. It's weird that they're so awful because they shouldn't be. I'm not saying they should be one of the best teams in NFL, but they should not be this bad.
Well, they made
So
the playoffs and won a playoff game last year, so yeah, definitely not.
yeah,
And it's not like they got worse.
so
We'll have to watch that and see how they end up doing.
yeah,
And then one of the possible best games of the weekend, we might have said that ourselves, the Chiefs and Jaguars. Everyone thought shootout. This is going to be amazing. Patrick Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence. It in fact was not amazing. The Chiefs won 17-9. It was kind of a snooze fest. And I mean, the Chiefs got the job done. They get the win. They didn't look amazing. They're still trying to figure out receiving. You know, they got Travis Kelce, but there's not really anybody that's stepping up too much to take in the Tyreek Hill role. So it's going to be an interesting year for the Chiefs.
At halftime, in a game that involved Patrick Mahomes, Travis Kelce, Trevor Lawrence, Travis Etienne, Calvin Ridley. Thank you. 13 points total at halftime. 13 points total. So
yeah, I don't know how
yep.
that even is the thing.
Yikes.
And then on the other side of that, a game that was also labeled as a shootout, Seahawks-Lions. It ended up being exactly what we thought it would be. But bad news, the Lions hype train sadly has to slow down a little bit. They lose the game in overtime, 37-31. It wasn't necessarily, I mean, their defense really just couldn't stop the Seahawks. They made a field goal with 0 seconds left. They made a pretty good comeback, but it just wasn't enough. Jared Goff throws his first pick of the year, broke his streak of however it was a long streak of however long it was without throwing a pick, and they lose to the Seahawks. Thoughts on the Lions after that game, Zach?
I just need MVP of the team, David Montgomery, to be okay, be healthy. I am very scared that the Lions got a taste of what Jahmyr Gibbs can do in this game and that they're going to kind of roll with him. And for my fantasy purposes, I need that to not happen.
Well, if it makes you feel better, Craig Reynolds is projected to take most of David Montgomery's work, not Jahmyr Gibbs.
Why would they do that?
They want to keep doing Jahmyr Gibbs in the same role of sporadically coming on the field for whatever reason that is.
So here's what I'm hearing. Dan Campbell's stupid. That's what I'm hearing. That's exactly what I'm hearing.
Maybe that's a smokescreen and they're going to use Jahmyr Gibbs, but that's what I read. Let's see. And then I believe Cowboys defense is the best in the NFL until proven otherwise. Micah Parsons is making a case for a defensive player to win MVP. Dude is playing insane. And
I mean,
right
what's
now
his stats so far?
I don't know his exact stats. He had 2 sacks against the Jets.
I'll look him up.
He has 3 total sacks. He has a forced fumble. He has a fumble recovery. He has 7 total tackles and a pass deflection.
Crazy. That is crazy.
So yeah, he's making a case, and I feel like those stats are crazy, but they don't even tell the whole story because he is constantly on the quarterback. I don't know if I've ever seen someone make that big of an impact. Like he is just consistently doing something to bother the quarterback or rush the quarterback. So Micah Parsons, that defense, they look legit. They shut down Zach Wilson, which isn't too big of an accomplishment, but they did shut down Zach Wilson. They win 30-10 against the Jets. The post Aaron Rodgers season of the Jets is not looking pretty at the moment. I will say Zach Wilson didn't seem to get much help on that one. I think Zach Wilson played pretty good in the first half, kind of fell apart in the second half. But yeah, so Cowboys defense is legit. Finally, the NFC South, probably the most surprising division in the NFL right now. Everyone is 2-0 except the Panthers, who are 0-2. Um, we're just going to skip past that part. And Buccaneers, surprisingly, 2-0. I don't think anybody expected that. Baker Mayfield somehow remembered how to play football, which is a little frustrating. They beat the
Don't
Bears.
want to talk about that either.
Yeah, Justin Fields. I just want to say I've said it since the offseason. I don't understand the hype, and I think it's just he's just not that good. Like he's just
I
not that
don't I
good.
don't get it. I do not understand it because he hasn't done anything, and he continues to not do anything, but somehow he's still really good, and it's just not there.
Yeah. So I think people are really starting to finally realize he may not put it together, and it may be time to move on in Chicago. So yeah, Buccaneers 2-0. Saints pulled off their win on Monday night against the Panthers. So they're 2-0, and finally the Falcons come from behind to beat the Packers, and they
Man,
are also 2-0.
Bijan
All
looks
right.
good.
So let's. Oh yeah, Bijan could end up winning Rookie of the Year. If they keep feeding him the ball, for sure. So let's move on to week 3 games. Starting on Thursday night, we have the Giants 49ers on Amazon Prime. Now, I would say this game could end up being a blowout. The Niners are favored by 10. Saquon Barkley got injured, and it looked bad. It looked bad on the replay, but he is a game time decision somehow. They originally said 2 to 3 weeks, but they're now saying he's a game time decision. I would be shocked if he played personally because it is a Thursday night game. But yeah, I think it could end up being a blowout. What do you think?
I mean, it's weird because the Giants have been bad, but then they have this really good comeback. So I don't know. Part of me feels like maybe they found themselves. Maybe they just needed to be knocked down a lot and find themselves and figure out some sort of fight that they have in them. So, I mean, I think the 49ers are going to win, definitely. But I think it could be closer.
Yeah,
It's
it
also
could
Thursday
definitely.
night, which is weird.
True.
So,
And then moving on to the 1 o'clock games on Sunday, we have a stacked slate. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 games at one, and out of those, this is going to be a shock because this is 2-0-2 teams, but I think it is a must win for both teams, and that is the Chargers at the Vikings. Two teams I talked about earlier. I don't know how they're 0-2, but they got to figure it out fast. And they're going against each other this week, and I feel like it's kind of like a perfect matchup for week 3. Who is legit? And right now it is an even line, so no one is favored. It is an even
wow.
line. I'm leaning Chargers just because Vikings defense has looked really bad. Um,
Yeah.
and with that Chargers offense, it's hard to stop. So I think it's going to be a great one, but I think the Chargers will pull it out. Thoughts?
I think it could be a good game as well. I don't know who I'm going to say the Vikings win on a Justin Jefferson touchdown at the very end.
All right, there you go. And
There it
then
is.
just kind of looking through the games, a couple shout outs. Colts Ravens, Anthony Richardson versus
Yeah.
Lamar. That could be
Well,
fun.
hopefully, if he's back,
Yeah, hopefully if he's back.
he should
Bills
be. But
Commanders. Bills Commanders. Commanders are 2-0. Bills are 1-1. You never know. Falcons Lions. Falcons are 2-0. Lions hype train. Yeah, and then sadly, it seems as though they put all the good games at 1 o'clock because then we move into the 4 o'clock window, and I might be a little bit of a homer, but in my opinion, this is the only game that is worth watching probably, and that is the Panthers Seahawks. Maybe this is going to be Bryce Young's biggest test at Seattle. Um, you know, I'm very scared about it. I don't know what's gonna happen. They got to figure out something fast because right now it's just the offense is horrid. It's just really bad, and they're gonna have to figure out something to either help out Bryce with routes. They just don't have anything that I feel like is getting open downfield because watching Monday Night Football, when you watch the replays, no one's open. It's not like Bryce is missing these guys. They're just not open. So somebody's going to have to step up and start getting open for Bryce. I don't know if it's the play calling. I don't know if it's receivers. But if not, then Seattle could end up blowing out the Panthers. But this could be a good game because of the Panthers' defense.
So one thing I always do with my students whenever they have tough times keeping their hands to themselves, that sort of thing, is I have them separate. So I'm really going to need Adam Thielen to get some separation from some cornerbacks in this game. Because that's the only way we can win. Can't win if your cornerback is this close to you. Because how is Bryce going to get you the ball without throwing a pick? I don't know. We've got to get separation. Like, we signed DJ Chark, who is definitely not a top NFL wide receiver, but should be playing better than this. Adam Thielen is old, but he is a reliable veteran. He's apparently really slow, though. Did Terrace Marshall touch the field last
He
night?
had
Is he
like
still hurt?
three or four snaps. He didn't play much, but I do have a stat for you for Adam
Mm-hmm.
Thielen. That is
Oh,
hilarious.
God.
Adam
Jeez.
Thielen was the fastest recorded player on the field last night.
That's sad. That's sad.
Both teams.
That
Both
is
teams.
sad. Wow. My two favorite things I've seen from the Panthers so far, besides the defense, have been Miles Sanders seems decent, like a decent enough running back for us to have a running game. So that's good. And I love what we're doing with LaVisca Chenault.
Yeah.
I love how he's basically our Debo. I just want to see him get involved more because he's electric. I don't think he's as electric as Debo, but he can be. So if we can get him the ball more and get him involved more, I
I
don't
will
know
say
how.
Frank Reich in the post game said that is one of their goals to get Chenault
Good.
the ball more, which I say why not? Nobody else is doing
Yeah.
anything with it, so try it
It
out.
feels like at this point we're at ground zero for the wide receiver room. And yes, DJ Chark is named number one. Adam Thielen is named number two. The guys under them, knock them off. Take their spot. Who says they have to be the starters? Because they're clearly not playing that well. So
I
play better.
Yeah, Jonathan Mingo actually played 98% of the offensive snaps last
Wow.
night.
Good.
So,
Good. That's what I want to see.
And then just to prove this isn't just me being a homer, I'm going to tell you the other two matchups just to show how bad they are. Cowboys at Cardinals. The Cowboys are a 12-point favorite. And then the Bears at Chiefs. The Chiefs are a 12.5-point favorite. The Seahawks are only a 5.5-point favorite over the Panthers. So it is the best game of the window.
Yep.
That's how sad it is. And then Sunday night, we have an interesting game. I'm not even sure really what to expect out of it. Steelers at Raiders. Two teams that are, who knows what they are.
Yeah.
They got Kenny Pickett with Pittsburgh and then Jimmy Garoppolo with the Raiders. I guess I'm going to lean the Raiders in this game, but it could honestly go either way.
I don't know. I'm going to say Steelers just because Alex Highsmith. I want him to make Cameron mad again.
Well, if he does start him, then it wouldn't really make him that mad.
He's not going to start him. You know he's not.
Well, he told me he was never starting Josh Allen again, so it's possible. And then on Monday night, we have another doubleheader, starting with the Eagles-Bucks, two 2-0 teams. That one will be on ABC. I'm going to hope the Eagles win that.
Fly high, birds.
The Eagles are favored by 5 points in that one. And then at 8:15, we have the Rams versus Bengals. This probably was looked at as a much bigger game going into the season. I mean, it's still a big game, but much better game. The question is, will Joe Burrow play? Right now, Schefter says he is uncertain for the game. I'm going to probably guess no based off what I would think. But that's 8:15 on ESPN. Especially if Joe Burrow doesn't play, I think the Rams win it.
Yeah. I mean, if he doesn't play, I don't think it's the question. If he does, I don't know. If he does play, I think it's up in the air. As far as Eagles-Bucks, obviously, I think the Eagles are going to win. But if I have to watch primetime Baker Mayfield play good football, I'm going to tear my hair out. I'm going to be so mad. I'm gonna be so mad. I just don't get it. How do you go to a team and just turn off the switch and forget everything, and then go to a new team and just turn it back on? I don't know. Baker Mayfield
Um,
makes me mad.
Before we move into the games of the weeks, I want to update my what we saw because I just saw something insane. In the
Yes.
Champions League, Atletico Madrid and Lazio are playing. Atletico Madrid from Spain and Lazio from Italy. Um, Atletico Madrid was up 1-0 pretty much the entire game, and they were in the 95th minute. Lazio had a corner. The goalkeeper came up, and they did the corner, and the goalkeeper headed it in for the win. Or
Oh,
for the tie,
nice.
So the goalkeeper
Nice.
scores the goal to tie the game. It was pretty nuts. So yeah, that's my new what we saw. All
Cool.
right, moving in to games of the week. I will let you start with yours because it's
Yeah.
earlier in the day. So
Yep. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Twilight Zone. We have a daytime Pac-12 game. Number 22 UCLA versus number 11 Utah. You don't get this often. Usually if it's Pac-12, you're getting late night trying to drink your coffee to stay up and watch it, and it just doesn't work. Not this week. You not only get Colorado and Oregon at 3:30, but you also get UCLA and Utah. So this game is my game of the week. Right now, UCLA is a 4.5-point underdog. Um, I'm not really sure how, maybe because I haven't played many people, but looking at this matchup, UCLA is averaging 40 points a game so far, and Utah is at 25. UCLA is averaging 530 yards a game, and Utah is at 360. So definitely a lot of offense versus not a lot of offense, but usually what Utah loses in offense, they definitely make up for on defense. And so far this year, they've looked pretty good. I don't think dominant because that Florida game was a little sketch, and then they had two other good games. A close one against Baylor, but then Weber State they took out pretty handily. UCLA, on the other hand, though, they've played Coastal Carolina, who they won by 2 touchdowns, beat San Diego State by 25, and then beat North Carolina Central by basically 60. So it's honestly the first real game for UCLA, and Utah's already played 2 kind of real games, or at least one. So it's going to be interesting to see what these teams do.
do we
3:30.
know if Cameron Rising will be playing?
Okay, so looking at last game, Cameron Rising did not play. So I don't know. I don't. Let me look that up while you tell your play. While you
If
talk about your
uh,
game of the week.
if Cameron Rising does not play, I will 100% be taking UCLA in that one. But
Yeah.
if in case I cut him off, Zach said is 3:30 on Fox on Saturday.
Yes.
All right, then we move into the night game on NBC. Number 9 Notre Dame versus number 6 Ohio State. This should be a real kind of who is for real contender game because Ohio State has struggled in a few games. They haven't had a test yet. When I say struggle, they haven't looked like Ohio State. They beat Indiana 23-3 week 1, and of course they've crushed whoever they played after that because they were obviously small schools. So this will be a good test for them. Is Ohio State good again? They have a new quarterback, of course. Is he the real deal? Kyle McCord. And then on the Notre Dame side, Sam Hartman over from Wake Forest. He's looked really good. They're 4-0. They crushed Navy. They crushed Tennessee State. They beat NC State by 21, and they beat Central Michigan last week. So they haven't slowed down yet. Sam Hartman has not thrown a pick. He has 13 touchdowns, 0 picks, 1,000
Wow.
yards. Um,
Wow.
and I'm going to take Ohio State's favored by 3 points. This is at Notre Dame. I'm going to take the Irish. I think the veteran quarterback is able to lead the Notre Dame to a big-time win here.
Yeah, if the cheapest ticket was not $560, I would absolutely be in Notre Dame this weekend to see this game, but I can't afford that, so that's not happening.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Sam Hartman, he looks good. I love the necklace he has made of his rib. That is just beautiful. Beautiful work by his mom. Ohio State, I don't know. I mean, they have the good receivers. I don't know anything. I don't even know their quarterback's name. I don't know anything about that team. Notre Dame. Looking at Utah, Cam Rising, it was said, their coach said last week, hopefully he'll be back this week, as in for Weber State, and he was not. So maybe he'll be back this week. That's the only thing I have. They did, though, lose their running back to ACL. So
I'll be taking UCLA.
yep.
All right. I think that about wraps up
I
Full
think it
Sport
does.
Press. Enjoy this weekend of football, and that'll do it.
Go Cox.
Yes, sir.